digital download. Oops. Good afternoon, good morning, and good day, wherever you may be joining us from. Welcome to another edition of the Digital Download, the longest-running weekly business talk show on LinkedIn Live, now globally syndicated on TuneIn Radio through IBGR, the world's #1 business talk, news, and strategy radio network. Today on the Digital Download, we're destroying the biggest myth in digital marketing, the dream of going viral. We all secretly hope it. Fame, fortune, the phone ringing off the hook. We believe that if a post goes viral, everyone will know who we are, and we will never have to actually sell anything ever again, because buyers will just line up at our door. Right or wrong? Amazingly, going viral achieves almost nothing for your actual business, despite the fact we all hope it will solve our pipeline problem. We're having a panel discussion this week, but before we kick off the discussion, let's go around the set and introduce everyone. While we're doing this, why don't you in the audience reach out to a friend, ping them, and have them join us? We strive to make the digital download an interactive experience, and audience participation, as you know, is highly encouraged. Tim, do you want to kick us off, please?
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. My name is Tim Hughes. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Aspertillo.ai. I'm also famous for writing the book Social Selling and Influence, using social media for cold outreach and new business sales.
Thank you, Tim. Adam?
Hi, everyone. I'm Adam Gray. I'm co-founder of Aspertillo with Tim and Bertrand. And I'm kind of looking forward to this, because we all know, anyone that works in this industry knows that going viral won't deliver what we dream it will deliver. But we still hope it will, and we still hope to go viral. So it's a really interesting kind of paradox, this, I think, for all of us, isn't it?
Yeah, it is indeed. Thank you, Adam. And myself, Bertrand Godillot, I am the founder and managing partner of Odysseus & Co., and a co-founder at Aspertillo.ai. All right, so, gentlemen, let's start with a foundational question. Have any of you ever had a post go truly viral? And most importantly, did it result in any closed revenue at all? Who wants to take this?
Well, I've had a couple of posts that have gone kind of semi-viral. I had a post that got 1,000 likes and a post that got 900 likes, and both of them got well over 100,000 views. That made no difference at all. Nothing was different to that than a post that got 1,000 views and 10 likes. I think what's interesting, though, is that Tim and I, a few years ago, we had a client that did a post, and that post went properly viral. It got, I think, 3.5 million views, and it got 38,000 likes, and it got 12,000 reshares, and tens of thousands of comments. And despite that, this client said the phone didn't ring once, didn't get one piece of inbound off the back of this. So the conclusion that I draw from this is that you do a post and it gets normal kind of engagement. You might get 5, 10, 20, 30 likes or comments on the post. You do a post which is much more successful, and you get maybe 100 likes or 200 likes or 300 likes even on the post. And if you don't get any result from that, what you think is you need more likes. You know, you need 1,000 likes. And if you get 1,000 likes, you need 10,000 likes. And if you get 10,000 likes, you need 100,000 likes. And the answer is going to be more. In the same way, you know, you pick up the phone and you cold call people and you make 100 dials and no one answers. Well, the answer is to dial another 100. No, you demonstrate quite early on that there's something fundamentally wrong with this. And I think that the problem is that it's very difficult for us to shake that belief system off. You know, it's like I did a post and it got 10,000 impressions. So what? What does that actually prove? What does it deliver? And we've always said that you can be lucky. You can do a post, it can get 100 views, and one of those people phones you up to buy. But luck is not a good strategy, because it's not repeatable. If it happens to land on the right person's desk at the right moment, when they're receptive to it and they like the look of you, then maybe you're going to get something out of it. But actually, there's too many variables in that. And I think what we and what all of our clients and the companies we talk to want is they want surety. They want a process that if I do 10 of these, I get one of these. I do one of these, I get some of this. And it isn't going to come from virality. And we've seen that ourselves time and time again.
So because there's a little bit of pride behind this, or we call this the vanity metrics. But, so what should we expect exactly from our publications? Is it if it's not likes and if they don't go viral, because obviously that's a bit of a luck. Although we can engineer, I'm pretty sure that we could, the three of us, engineer something that would go viral for sure.
Maybe we could. Although again, that's out of our control, isn't it? It's like when an agency says we're a viral marketing agency. Well, you're not. You may be a marketing agency that has had some posts go viral, but you can't guarantee that's going to happen every time. You can't engineer that to happen. But I think certainly in the B2B space, the crucial thing here is appropriate fame. So, our methodology says that if you want to speak to a particular profile of person, you need to connect to those people. You need to build a digital connection between yourself and them. So you send them a connection request on LinkedIn, and then you wave at them a couple of times. Then hopefully they will see your posts, and you do this again and again and again and again and again. So every week you add 100 new people that are all looking, that are all within that sweet spot that you're aiming for. And then you want a post that has a reasonable amount of engagement each day. So if you have a post that has 5 likes, can you message every one of the people and say, thanks for liking my post. We've not spoken for a little while. Love to have a chat. Can you do that with 5 people? Yeah. Can you do it with 10 people? Yeah. Can you do it today with 150 people? Probably not. Can you do it today with 1,000 people? No. So the reality is that you can have an embarrassment of riches, can't you? You can get to the situation where there are too many messages that you need to send from you having done a post that's got some engagement for you to be able to do it. And everything beyond that point is wasted.
So I think it's probably, going back to the question. So there's probably a misconception around the role of your publication into your active presence, so that you are somehow intentional so you are there for good reasons, and maybe there is a misconception on the role of content, basically content sharing into the overall set of activities that will turn into you being visible in front of, or you being regularly in front of your target audience. And that is probably where there is a big difference between being efficient and going viral. So any comments on that?
I think that I'm just in the process. I'm just finishing Andy Huff from the ISP new book on sales and AI, and he brings an interesting concept which he calls evidential trust. So he describes their different levels of trust. He sees there being relational trust, as in relationship trust, but also evidential trust. I would have said that we were, as salespeople, what we're trying to do is go through the know, like, and trust process. So people know us, they like us, they trust us. So there is some visibility, there is some influence, and I think that virality, whatever level it is, provides people, means that you become front of mind to people, but it doesn't necessarily build trust. So for example, my podcast was 10 years old this week, and I put out a post and I got something like 90 likes, all kinds of people from all kinds of, on my journey over the last 20 or 30 years, basically saying well done. But I've got no business off the back of it. Well, I never expected any, but I still think it's there. In effect, it's about saying hello, I'm here, and it's about making sure that I'm trusted by my network. Because for me, trust and relationship is more important than some transactional. Hey, great, it's your birthday, nice photo, and we move on to the next person to say congratulations, it's your birthday.
Your work birthday as well.
Sorry?
He said your work birthday.
Many birthdays.
Yeah. My work birthday. Yeah. So I think for me it's and there's different levels of variety in terms of, okay, it doesn't get 1,000 likes, but it did put me in front of a whole load of people that normally wouldn't have seen what I was doing or wouldn't have been bothered.
Yeah. So we've got a comment from Chris here. How do you deal with consistently getting X views, say 10,000, to just 10 or 100 the next week or next month? So essentially a significant drop in the virality or numbers. And I think it's a really good point. I think the thing that we need to remember is that LinkedIn has got its own algorithm about how it decides how it's going to show content to its audiences or to your audiences. And I think that the problem is people will tell you that they've hacked the algorithm. They haven't. It's nonsense. And if they have hacked the algorithm and they know the secret that LinkedIn are using, then LinkedIn will change it the next day anyway to make sure that it thinks it's being fair with people. I think the long and the short of it is, if the number of views and engagements that you're getting on your content is falling, it means that by whatever measure is being used, your content is less good than it was. So either your posts are not as appropriate for your audience and the people that are seeing them, or your profile doesn't look nice enough, or they're landing at the wrong time, or any one of these variables. Because the long and the short of it is that we're all facing this. As more people come onto LinkedIn and more people are posting content on LinkedIn, there's less time for people to see your content. So you need to make sure that your content is as good as it can possibly be. And LinkedIn's only way of deciding whether your content is good or bad is by seeing how people react to it. So if they show it to 10 people and 10 people all like it and go, that's fantastic, thank you for sharing, then LinkedIn can only assume from that it's a really good piece of content, and it will show it to more people because they want people on the platform. So I think that we've spoken at some length about the types of content there are. Content about what I do as the publisher, content about what you do as the recipient, and content about who I am. And the kind of the Venn diagram and the different overlapping bits of this, it's really important that you cover all of those bases. So when people see your content, they think, okay, I've seen a post from Tim. I've liked previous posts from Tim. That's a good thing. He seems like a nice guy. That's a good thing. I read it and I learn something. That's a good thing. Therefore, I'm going to read this. And that's the reality. But I think that it doesn't matter whether you get just 10 or 100 views. What matters is whether or not you get any likes. And if you don't get any likes, it's because people don't like it.
Quick comment. Quick congratulations, Tim.
Thanks, Chris. And by the way, if you don't know Chris Stone, you need to follow him because he's a great podcaster. You'll learn everything you need about podcasting.
Excellent. Yeah. So going back to just one thing on trust, I think there is we know that long-term relationships in the business are driven by, at least this is what has been assumed for many years, two types of trusts. Let's say the affective one. So you are a great guy, Tim. Nice chap, and the cognitive one, which is you know what you're talking about. So I'm probably and it's probably what you meant by evidential. So that or at least what content is from my perspective is an evidence of you know what you're talking about, and therefore it actually works on the cognitive side of trust. So
Yeah,
as you said, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say, you know, in a world where knowledge is basically entry level, because we can go to AI and get the knowledge. So we can create knowledge and go to a customer and say, here is the knowledge. And every salesperson can do that. And therefore, that knowledge, therefore, is, as I say, is table stakes. So what is it that's actually going to differentiate us? And the differentiation is the context. Because everyone's going to say, buy my product because we're great. I've got this and it will save you 20%. I will do this. It will save 20, 30%. I will. Okay. So what? But what we need is something is to have that evidential trust in place. It's something that's not a term that I'd come across until I read Andy's book. And I think it's really interesting in terms of seeing trust or conversations as being an output for content rather than necessarily likes. Because I've seen lots of discussions with Mark Schaefer about what makes good content, and I always say a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we know, don't we, that this is nothing to do with views or impressions or going viral, but we know from a sales perspective, if you're selling something complex, nobody is going to buy it. You have to sell it, which means you need to have a conversation. So if you haven't had any conversations from some of your content, then it's unlikely to have delivered any value to you.
All right. So in your, going back to this, there's a little bit of a balance that we can find, because we all know, at least around that table, that a personal post will overachieve consistently overachieve by a significant factor any most brilliant domain knowledge point of view exposition. So that basically, you can write the smartest post ever, and I'm sure we all have examples of that, including in the audience. By the way, it would be interesting to have a feedback on this. But if you really put great content, smart ideas into a post, and then you take a picture of yourself with your dog, and you do more, and you get more likes and more views and more exposition than any other of these really brilliant posts. So where is the balance? Should we balance this?
You're on mute, Tim.
On my keyboard. Can I just say that LinkedIn say that messages shared by employees get 561% more reach and 8 times more engagement than identical posts on official brand channels.
That's a starting point, and you're right to mention that, Tim, because I think because we take that as a given, but it's very clear that your employees, as you rightly said, have 60 times more chances to be read than your company. So make up your mind, which channel you want to choose to to spread the word out.
Well, I think that the the important thing here with all of these things, like with everything else in life, is balance, isn't it? I'm not clicking. I can hear clicking.
You were.
The important thing is balance. So nobody is sitting around waiting for you to share your brilliance with them. So you have to win the opportunity to get that airtime with people, and nobody is interested about your CRM system, not until they know you and they care about you, and the fact that you are making assumptions about solving their problems, even if you think you're brilliant at it, even if you are brilliant at it, they don't know that at this stage. So generally speaking, those three types of content about what you do, because they need to understand that you sell CRM systems, and that you've, from all of your journeys around the world of CRM, that you've learned that these are the challenges that companies have. You need to talk about my industry as well, because I'm the target. If you want me to consume your content, I have to see something in it that seems relevant to me. So if I work in pharmaceuticals, you need to share stuff about the pharmaceutical industry, because that's what will pique my interest and grab my attention. And then we all know that if somebody does a post about how great their CRM system is, it's not going to get any likes, because the person that is about to drop a like on it knows that as soon as they do, they'll get a phone call saying, "Can I talk to you about our CRM system?" And if I'm doing if you've done a post about how the challenges facing my industry can be skirted around, then again, if I drop a like on that, you're going to phone me up immediately. But if you share something which is about your dog, or something which is really friendly, or something which is an experience that you've had, or some learnings that you've had, or personal development that you've had, there's no implicit sales pitch in that. So I'm much more likely to drop a like on that, because it's not frightening for me to do so. And then as long as you handle me sensitively, who knows? We might have some sort of interaction and ultimately a call. But the starting point is that at least I've kind of waved at you across this digital ether, haven't I?
So again, so basically a difference between, I think, again, going back to the basics, maybe an expectation settings, whether content is inbound. So there is an inbound expectation, as you said, someone is going to call me. Well, the experience shows never happens. Or is it more an outbound play? So it's basically, it's there for me to, again, meet the expectations in terms of I know what I'm talking about, at the same time as I'm a nice guy.
Well, I think definitely that. I mean, I think that one of the things that we know from our own experience of life is that we have short memories. So, that person that you met 4 years ago at a networking event and thought they were absolutely brilliant, you can't remember their name because you've not had any interaction with them for 4 years. If, however, the day after that they connected to you and then they posted things regularly, you would see some of those things and it would keep bouncing them up to the top of that memory. So you think, oh yeah, that's the brilliant person that I met at that networking event. And a lot of this is just being visible in front of people, isn't it? If you had breakfast with somebody once 10 years ago, are you going to think of them when you have a show? Probably not. If you have a breakfast with them every single week, you probably are going to think of them. And it's as simple as that, isn't it? And this enables you to do one thing and scale that thing, that breakfast effectively, to lots of people simultaneously.
I'd like to go back to the mechanism, because as we said, okay, so we've got something gone viral, but so assuming that you had 1,000 likes, how many of these people are you actually? So what are you doing with this? Is it some? And by the way, that applies to any post, not only the viral ones. Are you contemplating this, or are you?
I think most people aren't. Most people aren't. So I was talking to somebody just the other day, and I said about how they had said the importance of being active on social and sharing what people do on social was amazing, and that they encouraged every. I think they work for a VC company, and they said every time they come into an organization, they say people need to be active on social because it helps to promote the corporate brand and what you do out to the audience of those people. It makes perfect sense. And then I said, but does that drive revenue? Well, it drives visibility and impressions and views, and yeah, but does it drive revenue? Well, it's difficult to connect the two things. Well, no, it's not, and here's how. And that exactly that, you get 10 likes, you send a message to all 10 of those people saying, if those people are appropriate people, and it's up to you to build your network in the right place, not me. But if you connect just to people that you want to have a conversation with, and some of those people engage with your post, you can then send all of those people that have engaged with it, that are the right kind of person, a message saying, thanks for liking my post. We've not spoken for ages. Do you fancy a chat? And half of them will say yes. So, and when I said that to this person, they were like, oh my God, now I get it. Now I get why it hadn't been working. And this is so simple. And it is simple, but it requires you to be pulling all of these levers, doesn't it? If you're not posting regularly, people forget who you are. If you're not posting stuff that people like, they're not going to drop likes on it. If you're not posting stuff that people don't like, but do consume, they don't know what it is you do. If you don't share stuff about them, they don't understand how you can help them and that you understand their industry. So all of these are plates that you need to keep spinning. But again, it's a fallacy to assume that if you've had 1,000 likes, the phone's going to start ringing, because in my experience, it never does.
All right. Obviously, there are lots of let's say talks and discussions around how you build you could say progressively, a small community that consistently comes back to your content and actually drop reactions on your content. Especially when this community is within your ideal customer profile territory, digital territory, if I can call it this way. Is there a way to engineer this? And if so, how? Anyone?
Well, yeah, you keep adding value. We're all creatures of habit, aren't we? And I think that what people, we've seen in the time that we've been doing this, we've seen people that have very strange perceptions of how their audience consume them. So we had one person that said to us, I don't like to post very often because I want to make sure that my audience is waiting for my posts, and then they will engage with those posts. Yeah, I mean, the arrogance in that comment is just beyond comprehension, because they've all forgotten you if you don't post regularly. So that's the first thing. But the more value you can add, the more you, in quotes, train people to consume your content. So if you do a post and it's got a real gem in it, a real gold nugget in it, and then you do another post and it's got a real gold nugget in it, and you do another post and it's got a real gold nugget in it, and you do another post, pretty obvious it's going to have a gold nugget in it. So the more value you add, so when someone comes and they give you 5 minutes of their time to read your post, they need to leave feeling like that gift of 5 minutes they've given you has been reciprocated by something that you've given them. So some of your knowledge, and I think what's really fascinating about this is that we all have huge amounts of knowledge that we can share. And many people either don't want to share it because they think, oh, no, this is mine. This is my secret sauce. I'm not going to share this with anyone. Or they don't think that that knowledge that they have, or the things that they've seen on their travels, is going to be of value to anybody but them. And, what I think one of the easiest things is to say, I spoke to 10 different companies in this sector and they all said this to me. Share that with people, because the companies in that sector will not have spoken to 10 companies in that sector. and knowing that the challenge that company 1 is facing is the same as the and 2 and 3 and 10 is facing, is the same as the challenge that I'm facing, will at the very least make me think, oh, it's not just me, which is a good thing, isn't it?
I think it's great. What about commenting? So if we move away from posts, what about commenting?
Well, it's the law of reciprocity, isn't it? You know, if I can't be bothered to comment on your posts, why should I be bothered for you to comment? Why should I think you'd be bothered to comment on mine? So, you know, one of the ways that we have of showing ourselves to people in our network is to comment on their posts. And the beauty of this is that if, you know, you've got a big audience, you've got 10,000 people, 5,000 people that follow you. So you do a post against which I can add a comment that makes me look like I'm a nice guy and really smart. And then not only do you then see my comment as a nice guy that's really smart, but so does everybody else that visits that post of yours from the 5,000 people that you're connected to. So this is a great opportunity to showcase ourselves, showcase our knowledge, showcase our generosity to an audience, to someone else's audience. But again, so often people don't. And you know, Tim, you post every single day. And there are a small group of people that get this, that comment insightful things on your posts. Most people don't. Most people will drop a like, yeah, but most people don't comment necessarily on your posts. And that's a missed opportunity because you've got a huge network and loads of people consume the stuff that you post. And I would want everybody in your network, I mean, we've got a huge amount of overlap, but I would want everyone in your network to see me. Because why would I not want that?
And one of the things that always makes me smile is when there's people that I'm trying to influence, and they'll say, "Oh yeah, I saw Adam's post," and therefore I'm able to influence those people not necessarily by my posts, but by the fact that I've liked and commented on your post.
Yeah, and I think that it, you know, everybody that wants to sell in the modern world has to have a strategy, and they need to reverse engineer what they want the outcome to be. So, you know, do you want everybody in the world to think you are the go-to person for this product or service? And if the answer is yes, okay, well, what are the steps that you need to go through in order to ensure that that's what people think? And if that is being visible, having a large network, having a great profile, sharing great content, commenting insights on other people's content, introducing people to other people, all of those things, it's easy enough for us to do this. We just need to carve out a little bit of time to make sure we do.
I think the law of reciprocity, I think, is really important in terms of you building. Not just, I think it's important that everybody is seen as a nice person and an encouraging person online. But I think the law of reciprocity, which is where you are making comments, and I don't just mean, you know, just commenting awesome on everything. I mean, you know, actually leaving something which is insightful or helpful. I think it's such a powerful thing because people see you, they recognize you for that nice, encouraging, thoughtful person that you are, and they're more likely to remember you. You know, especially if people are leaving posts. There's a lot of posts at the moment which I suspect are AI written about you know, when I was a little boy or something like that. But the fact of the matter is that if you're it doesn't matter about the post and what you think about it, but if you're leaving a comment and you leave something encouraging, they're going to turn around and say, I think Tim Hughes is a really good guy.
Yeah.
Next time we got a conference, he's going to speak.
I think that's really, I think that's really true. I think that you know, a friend of mine uses the phrase, people usually do what they usually do. So if you're always posting and being helpful and being nice and being supportive of people, and you're saying things like that's really helpful, and it makes me think of you in a particular way. If, however, you come on the post and you just say, I think that's totally wrong, I think you've completely got the wrong end of the stick here, you come across as somebody that's really aggressive and opinionated. And the problem is that when you then want to have an initial conversation with somebody that's seen you behaving that way, I can have a conversation with Tim, Mr. Nice Guy, or Bertrand, Mr. Aggressive Guy. Which one am I going to pick out of the two?
He's not aggressive. Just...
No. But that's kind of the point, isn't it? You get a chance to lay your stall out as you want to be perceived, and yet people, for whatever reason, don't invest any time or thought in doing this. And it's such a valuable way to maximize the value that you get from being present on a social network. And you want as big an audience as possible, but is 100,000 people in your network better than 50,000, which is better than 20,000? No, not if they're in the wrong place, or they're not engaged, or they don't know who you are. So, and it's great if something goes viral and you get seen by more people. But the reality is that if you had something that went viral and it got seen by 1 million people and they all phoned you up that day to buy from you, what impact would that have on your business? You'd be hung out in the wind, wouldn't you? Because you couldn't cope with that volume of inbound. So we're panning for some very precious nuggets out here, aren't we?
I think so.
All right. So I guess what we're saying is that comment is content to a large degree, and actually very effective content. Because as someone said, as I think one of you says, no one is posting to remain unknown or unnoticed. Therefore, obviously, if you are commenting, and you are commenting into what I would call the strategic part of your networks, the members that could influence your future business, you're getting exposure, and you become visible within your target audience. And that's probably the best way to achieve this, combined obviously with your own content, which then provides evidences of the two other things. You're a very nice guy, number one, and you're a quite competent guy, number two. So probably one of these actions around one of the levers, as you said, around your presence, that is actually probably one of the most efficient ones. When well organized and well managed, and obviously not awesome. Great, great idea, excellent. So a little bit more, something that shows that you've actually read the content you are commenting. All right. Any other topics that we could approach on this?
I think that the interesting thing about the whole going viral thing is it's quite a difficult connection for people to break, ourselves included. You still get that warm feeling when you do a post that performs 10 times better than the post you did yesterday, and it doesn't matter, even though we know it isn't really going to achieve anything. Not we're not going to have any dollars dropping out of the telephone as a result of this. Yet it's still very comforting. I think that if you've got a balanced strategy around this, it's a byproduct of what you do, not the reason for you doing stuff. You're not trying to go that viral. Sometimes you may, sometimes you won't. Like Chris said, sometimes you get loads of views, sometimes you don't get very many views. Well, that's the way the cookie crumbles, isn't it? Sometimes posts are loved by your audience, and we've been doing this, Tim, for 10 years now, and when you have a post that's really successful, or a post that's really unsuccessful, I bet you've hardly ever predicted which one's going to be successful, because it's out of our hands, isn't it? It's what the audience like. So I guess that the moral of the story is you have to change it up. You have to try different things. If your content isn't getting any traction, then try something very different. And I'm minded of the guy that we knew that used to share loads and loads and loads of corporate content on his profile. Pretty much every day he was sharing something which was corporate, and he was getting almost zero engagement from anyone. He'd get 1 or 2 likes, and most of the likes that he got on his post were coming from people that worked in his team. And then he had a conversation with us, and he said, well, what can I do? Because it's like, there's no point in me being here. And we said, well, what have you got interesting going on in your life? And he said, my son is a trainee scuba diver. Okay, you've got a picture of your young son with his frogman gear on. He said, yeah. Okay, we'll post that with a little note saying what it is. And he got 300 likes on it. So if you want to get likes, and you want to get comments, and you want to get views, you need to try different things until you find what excites your audience and captures their imagination, because you're not a good barometer for that. They are.
Yeah, I think that people of a certain age will know what a B-side is, and I've written blogs which I thought were B-sides, and they've been better than the A-sides. It's you can't tell.
Yeah, it's a fascinating world, isn't it?
It's a funny game.
I think these habits, though, take a long time to break, don't they? So if you're one of the people that's posting fairly regularly, and your content isn't getting engagement, or as much engagement as you think it deserves, you have to just persevere.
So I've got a question for you. Why does viral content always attract trolls? And how do you handle the negative attention that comes with massive reach? Because I think it's something that quite often puts people off, doesn't
it? I guess that there are a few nasty people in the world, and if your content gets seen by 100 people, there's not much chance there'll be nasty ones in there. If it's seen by 1 million people, there's a good chance there'll be nasty ones in there. But I think that your strategy around this, Tim, is a really good one, which is you just block and report them. Because actually life's too short. You shouldn't address this stuff because it gives it oxygen. So if somebody has a genuine disagreement with you, and genuinely disagrees with what it is that you've said, and has a reasonable argument, then I think engaging in that is fine. But I do think that simply when people make nasty comments, engaging with those is a waste of time. You just have to block those people and delete the comment and get them out of your life, because life's too short, isn't it? Because I know you do that, Tim, with when you get spammy connection requests from people, don't you?
Yeah, I get it all the time.
Yeah.
And the only way to do it is, we have to, as on the platform, we have to work as a collective to But yeah, I get, my life is about spammy connection requests.
Yeah, and there's an irony to that, isn't there? That is, these people that send spammy connection requests don't respond well to receiving spammy connection requests, and yet they think somehow they're immune from the. And you and I, some years ago, Tim, we had that in a meeting, didn't we, where we were talking to a sales director, and we said to him, we were talking about the importance of social, and his phone rang, and he picked it up, and he said, I don't recognize the number. It's probably just a cold caller. I'll send it to voicemail. And he put his phone down, and then he said, yeah, so I'm just going to get my team to do more cold calling. And the irony was completely lost on him, that he literally just dealt with a cold caller exactly as he thinks that his people won't be dealt with. So I guess that the irony here is that or the reality here is that we all need to treat others and behave in a way that reflects how we would like to be treated and have people behave towards us. Do you want people to be spammy towards you? No. So stop being spammy towards other people. Do you want people to send you loads of pointless corporate posts that you don't want to read? No. So don't share corporate pointless posts.
Adam and I had a message from a mutual friend the other day, and there is somebody on LinkedIn land, and everybody has to have their own particular unique selling point. Anyway, she is a midriff reduction expert. In other words, she'll help get rid of your belly fat. Anyway, she had sent a connection request to this mutual friend saying, I can help get rid of your belly fat. And this mutual friend went absolutely ballistic. How dare she come connect to me and say that my belly's fat?
Yeah, well,
I guess.
No,
Sorry, go on. But
no, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say. I guess that's perhaps the best example of this kind of belief that somehow you're different to everybody else. So, nobody likes to be sold to in this scenario, except when it's my product. Because my product, nobody likes cold outreach except when it's me, because my product's really good. And we need to assume that the person that we're selling to has far more important things to do than deal with us. So we need to find a way of bridging the gap at a human level between us and them, so that the old saying, know, like, and trust. Why would I believe a word you say until I know you and like you? You're just another salesman until that point. So that's the bit that we need to unlock first. And the best way we can unlock that is by sharing content, because it does it at scale. So we share content that shares our best insights and expertise with our audience. And we share content that genuinely targets challenges that we think our ideal customers might have. And then we share stuff about ourselves. Because if people don't know who you are, they can't be friends with you.
There's something that is often forgotten, I think, around personalized engagement. There's a lot about the target in this, but very little about your personality. And I think that's probably the missing piece, and at least that's where content falls short, actually, because you kind of lack the emotional engagement, I would say. So we don't know who's writing, and I think it's important that we know. It's as important that we know who's writing than who's the target. So who's the audience, basically, and what should we talk about? And by the way, I just want to close this very nice discussion, very nice summer Friday discussion, by something you said, Adam, which is viral is a byproduct. So if you do your work and if you invest, because there is no shortcut, virality cannot be really predicted. So it's probably not the best thing to aim at. But if you do your content properly and you have the right balance and mix, then you'll probably get viral as a byproduct one day, and maybe never. It's just like all-in-ones. I was watching a video the other day of a 4-year-old doing his first all-in-one. I've been playing golf for the last 30 years. I've done none. I've done none so far.
Yeah, but I think that going viral is a move in a particular direction rather than achieving a specific number, isn't it? So if you normally get 2 likes and today you got 20, then for you, that's having gone viral. If you normally get 200 likes and today you got 200,000, then that's going viral for you. So I think that, you know, we shouldn't get hung up on trying to drive these enormous vanity metrics on things, or being disappointed when we don't achieve that. Because, you know, for most people, you know, if you've got 100 views on your post, could you cope if the 100 people phoned you up and wanted to buy from you today? The answer will probably be no. Okay, so we need to make sure that we're dealing with the few interactions and engagements that we have, and trying to harvest that into something which is valuable for both them and for us. So small numbers are good.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Adam. Thank you, team.
Thank you, Bertrand, for
We're
chairing.
getting to the end
Thanks,
of this
Chris.
session, of this discussion. We will be around the summer. I think you know, so you can follow us on our, and I apologize for that, Adam, because it's going to be right in your face.
It's a win-win.
Our newsletter.
So if I scan your face, Adam.
Yes, scan my face, or that.
We need to get, if we get the QR code like on here, couldn't we?
Yeah,
maybe we could. Maybe
I'll get it tattooed on, shall I?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
We'll give it a try for next time. But if you want to know what's coming up next time, and you want to know what was in that session, you can flash the QR code on screen or visit us at digitaldownload.live/newsletter. With that, gentlemen, I wish you a great weekend and see you next time.
Thank you very much indeed. Bye-bye.